What is up, fisher people? We're gonna do a little scouting today. We're not out west, Van Hook deep water. We're not exactly east either. We're somewhere in between. And we haven't been out here yet this year. So we're gonna check out the lay of the land, see where some of the fish are, and kind of go through the process of elimination and how to find them. Basically, you want to do a lot of driving around, do a lot of sampling of water, check out 10 feet of water, spend some time driving in 20 feet of water, spend some time driving in 30 feet of water, drop down to 40 feet, see if you can find the smelt down there. The fish may or may not be down with the smelt, but if there's smelt in that area, there's a good chance there's walleyes in that area somewhere in one of the depths. Check out the flats, check out the humps, check out the points, check out the rock, check out the sand, check out the mud. Get a wide sample and see where you see the most fish until you start to narrow in on a pattern. And then when you get to a spot where you see a fair amount of marks fairly consistently, drop some lines down there, try to catch a few and see what they are. It's a process of elimination, but there's things you can do to speed that up, be more efficient, make it faster, and sample a lot of water before you start fishing instead of dropping on the first marks that you see. And sample a lot of water before you start fishing instead of dropping on the first marks that you see. And sample a lot of water before you start fishing instead of dropping on the first marks that you see. Because you want to see and kind of verify, okay, I saw some fish in 25 feet off this point. Do I see fish in 25 feet on multiple points? Or are there some on flats, some here, some there, a little bit scattered? And a lot of times in this and other reservoirs where fish are migrating a lot, it can be kind of an area thing, not necessarily a spot thing. So you might see a bunch of spots that look really good, but fish just aren't in that area for whatever reason if they're moving around and migrating. So sometimes it's like you drive a mile or two, check a few of those spots, don't see some marks, drive another mile or two, check some similar spots, and eventually you'll see spots that do have those fish because that's the area that they're in. And it can be a little random at times and be not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. And they may be there one day and then not there the next. So sometimes you got to keep moving if they're moving downriver, upriver, whatever the case is. So staying on the move is key. Don't fish a spot for an hour if you're not seeing fish and not catching fish. Move around, keep looking, and get better at that process of elimination and make it faster and quicker and more efficient. I also recommend trolling, especially in summer, because it keeps you covering water, it keeps you moving, graphing more fish, and gives you more of an idea of what's going on, as opposed to just getting to a spot, sitting there, and casting a bunch of jigs or something, which could very well be effective when you've got them nailed down. But if you're trying to scout an area, it's hard to do a lot of that when you're sitting still. So stay on the move, cover some ground. Crankbaits are a great option. Bottom bouncers are a little slower, but not too bad if you've graphed the area a fair amount first. It's all about covering water and gathering information. And apparently catching tiny smallmouth. This feels like the first walleye in 23 feet on a rocky point. Not a big guy. But now we have information. 23 feet, rocky point, walleye. Purple butterfly blade, half crawler. One data point. Mounted. Not the fish mounted, data point. You know what I mean. It's also worth noting that sometimes you don't mark fish very well in rocks, especially if they're buried down in there. Or sometimes you may just see a little kind of a half mark, which might just be the tail or something sticking out of the rock. So that's something to look for too, that Rocks sometimes can be worth fishing even if you're not necessarily marking fish on the graph, because they could be hiding in there and not showing up very well. So sometimes if I have a hard time finding fish elsewhere, I will make a pass through a rock reef or a rocky point just to see if there's something in there, and you might start to get bit. Got a few marks down there. Let's try to catch them. I think I need to look around for some heavier concentrations of marks. I had one short bite there, didn't get the job done, so I'm gonna spend more time looking, less time fishing until I find more irks on the graph. Found some deeper fish here where this point extends way out into the basin, and you got that transition line between the hard rocky point and the soft silty mud down there. So we're gonna pull through this and see what we can find. Can be a really good spot this time of year, especially when the fish push out their deep. It's kind of a buzzword you hear all over the place, that hard to soft transition. And that's what that is. It's just where you start to see the hard to rocky bottom meet that softer mud. And it usually happens at the very end of a piece of structure as it goes out to the middle of the lake. And there's some marks. Let's see if we get them. Big fish too. Well, I made one pass through there, marked even more fish than I did when I was first graphing. Got one short bite that didn't take. Then I made two more passes and almost saw nothing. So maybe they're fish on the move, or they're just skittish in 32 feet of water. I don't know, but we might have to keep moving along. All right. Wind picking up, a little bite picking up, found a fish, found a pretty good pile of fish. This is the first one I've hooked up with. Little afternoon. See if we can keep this rolling. Kind of a similar spot, another deep point that extends out into the basin. But the fish here actually seem to want to bite, so that's good. That's a nice eater fish there on the old slow death. Starting to drop my other one down and couldn't get it down before this one bit, so whew. Later on the same pass, here's fish 2, again on the slow death, making a resurgence. I haven't had anything on the slow death until getting to this spot. Feels like another solid fish, not a monster. Yeah. Maybe actually a little smaller than the last one, but at least these fish are hungry and biting. That's cool. I like that. It's one of the tricks to catching fish. Find the hungry ones, right? Yeah, you're welcome. So I had a little microphone snafu there at the end of that video. Things ran out of juice a little early. So unfortunately I wasn't able to capture the audio on what I was saying there, but I had found another point that was similar to the other points that I was catching those fish. Again, it's kind of that deep extended transition point off the tip where the hard meets the soft. Some of the fish were coming up a little higher on the rocks in 25 feet. Some of them were hanging down in 35, more on the end. So that's kind of the pattern that I found that was most prevalent out there. And I was gonna come out the next day and keep filming and try some more presentations, see if I can get some more bites, because the fish catching for this video wasn't super amazing. It was more of an informational, instructional thing. But I wound up having a snafu with my kicker motor, so I had to take that in to get fixed, and it's still being worked on right now. And now the weather changed dramatically. It was over 90 that day, and now we had a big cold front come through, so things are vastly different, and I probably can't really do a whole lot more to follow up with that video. But I want to do at least wrap it up, tie a bow on that thing, and talk a little bit about what was going on there. Hopefully it was somewhat informational, helpful, a little bit of a different video, a little more focused on the fish finding and using the electronics. And some people had asked for that sort of thing, so hopefully that was cool. If you did like that video and continue to like other videos, you know, think about subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Think about liking the video. The more likes and subscriptions I get, obviously helps the channel out and helps it be visible to more people, which is super helpful to what I do and being able to continue to produce that sort of content. So the other thing, some people have been asking about shirts and hats, both people that watch the channel as well as clients that are coming out fishing with me. So now that I've had some time off with the motor issue, I did start putting something like that together on the website. So we are going to have some shirts and some hats, and kind of working on dialing in all that stuff, but there's going to be something out there for those who are interested in that sort of thing, which would be another thing that would help. You know, if you want to support the channel, if you want to support the guide service and small businesses like the one that I run, that would be a cool way to do it, and you get something cool in return for it. So I do have some test products that I ordered to look at them and see how good they are, but it sounds like they're pretty good quality stuff, so I post another thing seeing how good this stuff actually is, but I think it'll probably be pretty good. So it's gonna wrap up this video. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you on another video somewhere down the road.